Everybody, and welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance. I started Telling It Like It Is to share stories, to share knowledge. It is live. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section and we'll get to them. If you're watching this after the fact, put your questions in there and we will answer them. I also would like to thank today's sponsor, the Helm Cash Flow app. They make it easier for you to predict your future cash flow balances. Obviously, we all know about the importance of finances, so check them out shortly. Their app, their website will be in the comments section. But today, we are going to be talking a little entrepreneurship to CEO with CETAC-WEST. Haley and Linda, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Hi, Jade. Feeling great today. Thanks for having us on.
Hi, thanks, Jade. We're excited to be here, and what a way to kick off June. Thank you.
Oh, great way to kick off June. And I know we were talking a little bit before, and you guys got a nice, one of the best backgrounds, live backgrounds I've seen in a while, but it would have been great to have the mountains, and we should, maybe next year we'll actually do it live out and in Banff.
Ooh, that's a great idea. We should do it during the session. Everybody in the background can be waving and saying hello.
Hey, what a way to celebrate our 25th anniversary in Banff.
Well, isn't that the truth, right? Then we can kind of have flyby. I've done a few live ones and they've been fun because it's, hey, just come here and say hi. Pull people in, have a good time, right?
During I time. That we
exactly, right? And again, with the sheriffs that you guys have out there, they can keep control of nobody,
I don't know, we might get us. The sheriffs might be fining us for that.
Oh, Jade has deep pockets. We'll be fine. We just don't want to do it. We don't want to do it during the quiet room, though, because what happens in the quiet room stays in the quiet room.
Well, exactly. Right. When I think it was Jim was one of the sheriffs this year, and he came to Founders Coffee one day, and I was like, "Where's your hat? Like, if you're sheriff there, you got to be sheriff here."
Oh, we took it back. We didn't know we were supposed to give it to him.
No, we have to take back power like that. You know, you can only give out power like that for 4 days at a time.
Well, exactly. He was devastated. I'm just going to let you know he was devastated.
You know, the sheriff started because it used to be that we would try and round people back up and people would be networking and they'd be talking and, coffee break. And then we're like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. So the idea of the sheriffs came up and we thought, let them police themselves. And then we're off the hook. We raise a bit of money for charity. It's all good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Raising money for charity is never a bad thing, right? So let's get into this. I mean, I first of all, I want to thank you for the invite, and unfortunately I only stayed for 2 of the 5 days, and next year it'll be all 5 days, I promise you. But what a great event. And as I said before, I was talking to a company yesterday, telling them about what you do, because I love it and I see it all the time. It's really hard from an entrepreneur to go to a CEO, to have staff, to learn how to handle those people. And there's so many different tools out there, so many different opinions. So I want you to kind of share the CETAC-WEST story and how it started, because it is a hidden gem in my mind, and how it was started and how you're kind of evolving it now.
Sure. So I'll kick it off, and Linda, you can
interrupt like I usually do.
Yeah. So CETAC is a not-for-profit that was started in 1993 with the original mandate to help entrepreneurs commercializing environmental and clean technology. Originally, when we started out, our CEO, Joe Lucas, he had built a successful career in pollution control, and he had a big network that he brought in to try and help these founders, these startups, these entrepreneurs. But today, almost 30 years later, some of the companies that CETAC worked with in the early days have gone on to grow very successful companies. And now they come back and they help the earlier stage. And, when they come back and they mentor, they're still learning from each other and they're still pulling on the experience and the wisdom of each other.
Yeah, that's so true. I pulled in some mentors and they're busy, like they're running big companies. They have things on the go. And I said, I can't thank you enough for coming. And they go, you know what? A lot of times when I'm giving advice, I realize I go back to the office and I should be taking my own advice. So I implement things I suggested. But Jade, do you want the real story of how CETAC got started?
We're all about telling it like it is here. We got to have the real story.
I have the real story. So the real story is that they were looking that the CETACs were formed in 1993. by the federal government. Actually, it's a federal government initiative. And the first job of the board that was set up was to find somebody to run CETAC in the West. And they kept identifying this Joe Lucas guy. And the headhunter talked to him, and she was like, yeah, no, I could be interested. And then she asked for his resume. Well, she got kicked out of his office. He's like, I've never written a resume in my life. There's no reason for me to be doing this. I have a very good, got Western Research. I'm working for Bow Valley Industries. No. So the chairman of the board came out to meet Joe and said, look, Joe, we hear you're the man for the job. And he said, yeah, I'm not giving you, I don't know. He said, entrepreneurs are a wild bunch. He said, what you're trying to do, he said, it can't be done. And Gordon looked at him and said, well, if you're not up to the task. And Joe's like, wait a minute, I didn't say that. And Gordon's like, come on and meet our board. And Joe's like, okay, but I'm not writing a resume. And that's how CETAC got started.
It's actually the same thing that Joe does to all of our new companies that we work with. Challenge them and say, oh, it can't be done. And that just lights the fire under them. I'll show you.
Yeah, our most successful exit, Brent Zettel, when he was with Prairie Plant, he started off with Saskatoon bushes. And Joe was like, and Brent imitates him perfectly. I can't do Joe's Hungarian accent, but Brent's.
I wouldn't sing perfectly.
We'll give him benefit of the doubt. He's not here. But Brent was doing Saskatoon bushes for farmers to replace wheat crops. And Joe's like, that's a stupid idea. And in the end, and the way Joe was right, but Brent was challenged and he pivoted many times and ended up growing medicinal marijuana, to make the long story short, and exiting for 1.1 billion. But Brent now is, chairman of our board and comes back. He was into how many workshops? I think about 20.
Oh, I thought it was all of them. It was all of them.
I was all of them now.
Well, and I that's one of the things that I saw that I loved, right? And to me, that's a sign of success, is when someone like Brent comes back, or Kirk, these guys that, these companies that are now, that was hundreds of employees, and Kirk's is hundreds of employees. And then you've got some startups with different things. And then you've got, the Depkers there that now have gone from, husband running the team, wife in the background, to now partners, and she's running it, and going from there. So to have all these different scenarios in one room to learn from each other is just priceless.
Well, what I love too in our workshop is just the openness and the culture of CETAC that we fostered, and Joe's fostered and created, really. But that people, was one of our mentors, say, open the kimono, and they share, what went wrong. One of our entrepreneur interviews one year talked about how he went down the innovation path, spent $2 million because he had a client that brought him an idea, gave it to his client, and the client's like, hey, this is fantastic. This is exactly what I'm looking for. He says, great. Let's charge you for it then. And, let's make some money. I got to recoup my investment. The guy's like, oh yeah, I'm not the actual decision maker. Let me fly it up the flagpole. And it never flew. So it completely changed how he did his innovation and development. So it was a good learning experience, but it's much cheaper for entrepreneurs to learn from him than to have to make that $2 million mistake themselves.
Hey, anytime you can save money and make the right decision, right? I mean, and we talk about that. I talk about that all the time with people, right? Reach out to somebody. Asking for help's not a sign of weakness. It's something that we say, and it's a journey. I mean, this journey doesn't need to be alone. And I can guarantee you, in that room, if somebody has a problem, probably 6 other people had the exact same problem.
Yes,
and it was probably solved 4 different ways. So it's not the exact right way to solve it, but again, having that culture to lean on and see the people that come back time and time again is kudos to you, to what you've created. So it's, again, I can't speak enough of how impressed I was.
Well, thank you for your kind words. It's amazing what comes out to us each year, because we never know. We get a different room of people. We never know what's going to come out. Although we do have a sense, because we know everyone before they come to the workshop. So it's like a wedding. That's what I describe it. And we seat people next to each other as to who we think, will get along, or who has wisdom to share with one another. And I have to give kudos to Haley this year, because she was the one who organized the groups. And we've had so many people come back and say, wow, you know what, that's amazing. One group created a Slack channel. They were a winning group, I think, this year.
Yeah.
And they're all helping each other. Oh, actually, in that group, one of them hired somebody. So we charge a recruitment fee.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, and even and not only the mentors that you're bringing there, you're also bringing the funding catalyst, right? Like Alberta Innovates was there, IRAP was there. So if people had questions, like boom, right there, oh, we can help you. Like I was watching people interact, saying, oh, Liz went over and talked to oh, I forget now, one of the Alberta Innovates people, and it's like, hey, I had a problem on this application. What should I do? And it's just like, here we go, right? I mean, again, it's not just peer to peer; it's industry to help here as well.
Yeah, and we like to put people from Alberta Innovates and IRAP right in the groups so that they can.
Well, they're a wealth of knowledge for our attendees.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like part of their role is also coaching, and then the attendees really get to build the network, not just with other founders and entrepreneurs, but also with the support system and the ecosystem.
And it's also great when we have our ITs and TDAs that come, we really encourage them to bring a client, because they get to see a different perspective of their client in that own part because of the time that they're spent there. But they don't often get to interact, I think, for 4 or 5 days straight with clients.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt that it does take a lot of time, and again, but it shows a commitment that these people are willing to learn, and some of them keep coming back to learn, maybe 3 years later, or I know a handful of conversations of people saying, I came in 2019 and then COVID hit and we had a whole bunch of shit come down in our business and things like that, and they're like, I needed to be back here to to help and learn from other people. So it was like, wow, here we are, right?
Yeah, when COVID hit, like everyone, we tried to offer something online, and we started off with operational. What was the first? We did 3 series.
Readiness.
Operational readiness.
Yeah.
And the idea was to keep our network together and to share with each other what they were doing to get through COVID, what ideas they had, what successes they had found, government programs to help them. So that was the best we could do during that time, but it did keep our network together because they really came through for us. Again, when we started up, we weren't sure what the response would be, given that the economy is taking off. And
well, it was actually their idea to even have that program started, because when COVID first hit, everything was just chaos. Nobody knew what was happening or what to expect or what to do. How do I manage? How do I protect myself? So it was just getting them together to talk to each other and share, because news was kind of traveling really fast, but unless you're connected into it, you're kind of on the sideline, right?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the course itself, because I would like our listeners to think, oh, well, are they just gonna, are we gonna sit there? Is there a lot of interaction? Why don't you kind of break down this is gonna be a lot of you two talking right now, and I'm just gonna sit here and drink my tea, which is perfect. More of you, less of me makes for a better show. So, kind of break down the 5 days and tell our listeners how it works.
You've already stolen the show, Jake, with telling them about the sheriff. So I don't know where to talk.
Why don't you kick it off?
Oh, you want me to kick it off? So the workshop we have, we start in the afternoon on Sunday, and it's actually my favorite day. It's everyone gets to know each other, and then we go into the entrepreneur interview. Oh, we have our awards. Of course, we can't do anything without awards. We have dinner, and then we go into my favorite part, which is the entrepreneur interview. And our clients, these long-term clients, they openly share their journey, their trials and tribulations, their successes that they've had along the way. And that really helps to set the culture for the week and the openness. Every day has a different theme. We go from culture, and which is a big one, culture and strategy. A lot of our clients come away with, even early stage companies, with the importance of how they've been conscious with how they set up their culture, to marketing, sales, finance, and not finance in the accounting way, but really how you can use your financials to run your business, and managing risk on the last day. In the afternoons, we have our business case presentations. And this year was my favorite way. We change it up every year, but I think we'll keep this year's format, where the company has 7 minutes to share about their company. And then the groups get together and the groups are talking and trying to figure out the best question. Every group gets to ask one question. And then the mentors give some feedback after that. We were able to do 18 companies this year that were able to present their story, which is good in one sense because it allows people, they might, you might not get to ask your question because your group might not pick your question, but you can go up to that person, in the quiet room when you're having dinner, when you're having lunch or breakfast, during eye time, and say, hey, I have something I did similar that can help you. Or, I have a similar challenge and this is who I talk to. There's so much openness and sharing. And then of course in the evening, we talk about value proposition.
I think there's a lot of pitch competitions out there that I think have a slightly different focus where you're kind of, you're trying to pitch the best to get some investment or whatever it is. But I think at CETAC, it's more of a business case presentation. You're sharing, you're coming at it from a different angle. How am I going to successfully build and grow this business? And you're getting input and feedback from other people that are kind of in the trenches doing it or have done it. So I think the approach is a little bit different.
Yeah, which reminds me too, on the last day, we also had financing for early stage companies. And we had IRAP, Alberta Innovates, and then we had 2 of our clients. So not only did IRAP and Alberta share some of the programs that were out there, but then our clients were there talking about what programs they had used and how they'd used them and at what stage they had found them to be helpful.
Yeah, what was working for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, at that time, Haley and I were busy trying to get the prizes together and who won what award, but I hear it was a good session.
So I cut you off. You were going into the
evenings. And then the evening was our value proposition. And we have a contest for the best value proposition and the best opportunity. And the groups get together and they work with each other to help each other modify their value propositions. I've seen people who have started with like a full page for their value proposition. 2 pages. And shorten it down to 2 or 3 sentences to really succinctly identify. And then it's funny because they'll come back and they'll be like, look, I've got my value proposition from last year. And then the group will listen to it that they're in, but you've changed and you haven't changed your value proposition.
They think they're done. They think they don't have any work to do in that evening session, but oh no, that's not true.
And you're not only learning with your own value proposition, when you're helping somebody with their value proposition, you're learning as well.
Yeah.
So
I thought that value proposition was a very good. Actually, you saw people scrambling even as they're starting to read it. Oh, I got to make a change.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's because you never know that what moment is going to change your life. Cam at Gradient, he told the story, so I hope he'll forgive me for telling it. He was standing in line for tickets. And a guy happened to be behind him and said, they were started talking as you do when you're waiting in line. And Cam's a very friendly, outgoing guy. And turned out to be Atco. He said, what do you do? And Cam just gave him his value proposition. He'd actually had practice at the workshop and in his monthly management clinics. The guy said, you know what? Here, contact me. He says, I have people you should be talking to. And Atco has turned out to be a huge supporter. They're actually working with Gradient right now to help develop, Gradient's doing the work on the hydrogen furnace.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Public knowledge, so that I can talk about that. I have to be very careful what I can talk about, I can't. But it is on there.
Kicking you under the table.
I won't tell any stories about entrepreneurs gone wild.
No, that's a good thing. And so obviously as the week progresses, you have a lot of information information that's shared, a lot of collaborations. I saw there was panel discussions where they can get into it. Blaine, does a great job. And how do you, once kind of everything is there, how do you wrap up the last day? I mean, sad enough, I wasn't there. I'll find out next year, but how does the last day kind of wrap up, and what are some of the biggest takeaways that the companies have?
So the last day wraps up. We talk about managing risk, which is really important in running your business. Every year is different because we never know what's going to come out of that panel.
Okay. Yeah, and I think the takeaways for everyone is different, and it's not necessarily that it comes on the last day. It could come on in any of the sections on any of the given days, but it's what's most relevant to that company at the stage that they're at in that moment. Yeah. So we have a lot of companies that come back year after year because your problems change, your priorities change, you're going through different things. So even though a lot of the fundamentals are the same, there's different things that stand out to you more for where you are.
A lot of our attendees describe it as drinking from a fire hose in the first year. So as Haley says, they like to come back. Even our alumni sometimes will just come back for a day or two. It's a great way to renew their network, to talk to different people. Some of our mentors, we can't get a hold of them because they're so busy, but they'll make time to come to the workshops. So we have clients that love coming just to say hello, and we rope them in.
I mean, I like that, right? There's it is hard to give 5 days, and who knows where I'm going to be in a year from now, but.
No. You've committed. We have
I can edit that
out. It's too late.
Oh gosh. But yeah, I mean, I like that. I just love. I mean, you can tell, right? When people are there, you know what? I'm coming. I'm going to give a couple days because it helped me when I needed the help, and it's time for me to pay it forward. And someone came for Sunday, and someone came for Monday, and then I talked to. He goes, "Oh yeah, there's these two guys came for Wednesday and Thursday," and I was just like, "Well, that's just beautiful. I just love hearing that."
Yes, yeah. For a lot of people too, it's easier to pop in and out if you've been before, but people are so busy working in their business. Sometimes you just have to take that time to get away and work on the business. And being out in Banff, being away from everybody, you're in this creative environment, you're surrounded with people that are, thinking about business the same way that you are. So that's a great opportunity for them.
We've had people and they're like, well, do we have to stay out in Banff? And for our full-time attendees, we say yes, because you are so busy. If you want to get up and take part in the 6 a.m. walk, you can.
Jay, did you make this?
I did not. I was up and I was working.
8:30, our session kicks off, and you're on the go until 5:30. You have dinner, and you're back at it for the value proposition, and then you're networking. It is a full day. Some people have insisted, and they've driven back and forth, and their ranking of the session is always lower because they don't form those connections with the other people. And that is so integral to the success that they're going to have. Just the exchange and sharing of stories and wisdom.
You couldn't pay me to drive back and forth. Like, not a chance of I ever going to drive back and forth. But I do, right? It's the non-core stuff is almost as important as the core stuff.
Yeah.
And right, getting to know somebody on that 6 a.m. walk, right? Walk into town, grab a coffee, walk back. I mean, that's time that you really get to know somebody and what they do and who they are and how they view their business.
Well, that's the other thing too, because we are out in Banff and we're, it's such long days and you're just with these people 24/7 basically for a whole week. You get to know them so well. It really is like a family that emerges. It's not like going to a conference and exchanging business cards and not really, connecting again.
Yeah. And the great value for us too is we all know these, like CETAC, we really get to know all of these people. So our network and breadth of experience that we can draw on from people is immense. That we can, somebody comes to us with a challenge and we just kind of flip through the Rolodex in our head. Do people still know what a Rolodex is? I don't know. We flip through their names in our head.
They're right there, right? That's your Rolodex. Right?
Now it goes like this.
Exactly, right.
But you're able to draw on that and say, you know what, you're having a problem with this. Yeah, we have a mentor in our network that we can help. But we really need to know the companies well to be able to do that, because a lot of times, what people think is their challenge isn't really what the problem is.
No, absolutely. And again, a question came in here, and I'm going to tie it in. But again, I'm talking with Haley and Linda here of CETAC-WEST. You can click on their website to find out more information. It's in the comments section. But as somebody asked, how do I get involved? How do I get a hold of you guys? And how small of a company do I have to be to kind of come out here?
I don't think we discriminate on size.
I think the best way to do is you can reach out to us on LinkedIn or through our website. Come in and talk to us, because we start working with companies ahead of the session. Like I said, we really develop a relationship. I don't think you would get the same session if you just threw 40 people in a room together. Yeah. It's really developing that relationship, understanding who's going to sit where. That's important. and what mentoring help we need to have there. Our program always changes and evolves. The session that you saw this year, there'll be elements that are the same, but we always tweak it towards the needs of the attendees the best we can.
No, I that's great. And again, getting the buy-in before is great, right? I just love that, right? I mean, getting to nobody. It's not just like you said, picking people. I mean, I want to be in Adventures. They said they sold 2,000 tickets. Total different. The next 3 days is going to be totally different than what I experienced in Banff in that like tight knit community.
That's so true.
Yeah. And it's not just, getting to know you before the workshop. It's also after the workshop, maintaining that relationship, because if we lose connection, then, there's a couple of examples of the workshop this year. We've gone through some services with some companies that were there in the past, but just being out at the workshop, they are talking to us about new challenges. And now we have some ideas of some new ways that we can bring some help to them.
Yeah. We did a survey, I'm going to say about 7-8 years ago. And our average client engagement was 7 years. And we still have clients from back then that are still working with us and help, and even a part of our network. So it's once you're part of CETAC, it's really hard to get out of the CETAC network.
Once you're in, you're in.
But we also hold things throughout the year. Like this month, we're having the Innovator Circle for our earlier stage companies. Amanda Hall from Summit Nanotech. Did you kick me?
Oh, no. I tapped.
I'm like, am I allowed to say that?
Kicking you under the table. That's my line. That's my line.
No. That was June 23rd, though. If anyone's interested, reach out.
Yeah. So Amanda's going to share her story with us. We still have our operational excellence meetings for companies with cash flow so that they can get together. Our mentors and get together once a month to share some of their strategic challenges that they're having.
I think we're going to bring back to life the Exit Club for some later stage companies that are, thinking of those stages.
Yeah, that are looking to how best to plan for their exit.
Oh, nice. So you've kind of answered my next question. Like, what's next? You bring back the Exit Club. I already know that now, and a few other things. So, is there anything else that's going to pop up here in the next little bit with you guys?
You never know with us. We're always thinking about new things. I think one interesting thing about CETAC is we really believe in diversity of opinion, because there's never one way to solve. So whenever you meet with it's never you meet with one mentor. We always bring in a team of mentors, and we don't strive for one answer. We strive for options. That there's always options, and just to keep thinking about options. So we work hard to provide those options.
Nice. Well, this has been great. I mean, I love it. There's still a question left, so you can't run away just yet. But I know I really appreciate what you guys have put together, because I think it's fabulous. I think it's extremely beneficial, and I mean, obviously, you've helped so many companies over the 25 years that it's been there, and probably the next 25 years, it's going to be even needed more as our world changes and however it moves forward. So, thank you for putting this together. It was awesome.
Well, thank you, Jade. And I have because you asked us what our wisdom was.
Oh, I haven't asked that question yet.
Okay, I don't want to forget, because I worked hard on it.
No, it's coming.
I'm not letting you go first, then. I don't want to follow you.
Oh, well, let's ask that question. And Linda, I guess you're up first. But it has to be one. You have to have only one. So if you had one piece of advice for a startup, small business, or entrepreneur, what would that be?
Hang on, Jade. At this year's workshop, there was one group, and they would ask their question in the afternoon, and the other groups would go, "They stole my question."
It happens all the time.
Yeah. So I think you each get one, Haley. I'm going to make that executive decision.
Okay, good. That's going first.
Exactly.
Okay, so Linda already mentioned Cam Dupker and his wife Jennifer. They had an amazing entrepreneur interview this year. They manufacture high performance furnaces and water heaters. And Jennifer gave amazing credit to Cam about how humble he is when he goes out to the market and he asks for feedback on how to improve his product. He just lets go of his ego. It's okay to tell him he has an ugly baby, because he can take that feedback and make it better and improve it. And I think that is so critical. Instead of holding on to this product or whatever it is that you think is so perfect and getting defensive when people are trying to help you and make it better, just be humble. Just accept the feedback.
I love it. I love that. That's great advice.
And I cheated. I went to some of our clients because the big thing about CETAC is really reaching out to your network. And while I have seen things, I haven't necessarily lived them. So I went out, and one of our clients said to really think and determine the purpose of your venture. And I think that is constant. You have to keep thinking about that because it changes. And then I went out to another client, and I'm going to read his.
Was this really multiple now?
And Sean said, push hard and fast, but realize everything takes longer, costs will be more, and it will be harder to execute than you anticipated. Being an entrepreneur is possibly the hardest thing you will do, but it is also the most rewarding thing you will do, even if you fail. And I thought that was absolutely beautiful. And that was by Sean Frisky at Ground Effects.
And that's so true. So true, right? I mean, it's going to double the time, double the cost, but it still will be very rewarding.
Yeah. And even if you fail, you learn something. It's just nicer to learn from others' failure and not your own.
No, absolutely. I totally agree. But once again, Linda and Haley, thank you so much for coming on, sharing the CETAC-WEST story, the entrepreneur to CEO. For anybody, can just click on the comment section, go right to the website. If you have any information, please reach out. And again, I really appreciate you guys giving your time today, and I'm really excited about next year. And I'm recruiting already. I've probably got one company already. So
perfect. We can't wait to talk to them. And we're going to be at Adventures. We're going to be popping in and out. So if you see us, please stop and say hello.
Well, you guys having a booth there, or are you just going to be there?
No, we're just going to be there wandering around.
Yeah, me too. I got to speak tomorrow, but other than that, I'm on a panel. But I'll be just meandering around.
I'm excited. Yeah,
I'm always excited. I'm always excited to meet new people. So that's great. So again, thank you so much for coming on, and I really appreciate your time. And I hopefully we'll run into you